What is going on, my beautiful LARPers and LARPettes? Today we're going to go over the SIG SAUER P320 Legion Flux, or the Flux Legion. It's really cool when a gigantic company like SIG SAUER sees a smaller company and says, hey, let's collaborate, let's make something pretty damn cool. I'm a pretty big fan of these Flux chassis here. I have like 3 of them. So I have the older version, the MP17. Well, I have 2 of them. I have that one and this one right here. I'll bring those and compare them to this one in a second. This is the newer Flux X, I believe, Raider X. There's tons and tons and tons of aftermarket parts for the 320, and I think this is probably one of the coolest ones you can get if you can find them in stock. But hopefully SIG kind of remedies this out of stock issue. When I looked for these, I didn't see a whole lot in stock, but hopefully they can ramp up production enough where they're bringing out a lot more. Or let's just get right into it, guys. And my apologies if I sound a little bit stuffed up. I was supposed to put this video up like a week and a half ago, and I got sick and I had a fever for like a week and a half, and it barely broke, so I'm still kind of like sweating it off right now. But hopefully you guys can bear with me on this review and my stuffiness here. So starting with the top slide here, this is literally just the 320 Legion slide that they slapped on this Flux frame. There's really nothing here that's, wow, oh my gosh, it's new here. It's just new to SIG just because they collaborated with Flux and are now selling it on their website or selling it at stores, whereas opposed to you would have to buy an FCU from SIG or buy a whole 320 from SIG and then have to buy the Flux separate. This is a full complete package now. But the 320 Legion slide is essentially this one here, the AXG Legion, my apologies. But this is the, I believe, 3.9-inch barrel here. So even though the slide looks like it's a full length, the ports on the front of it are built into that slide there, with the barrel being cut down shorter behind those ports. Very similar to the X Macro on how they designed that. Very functional comp as well. But they just put this slide on top of the Flux Legion, or the Flux Raider X itself. And the Flux Raider X chassis here is a little bit more updated than the original Flux MP17 here. This is the first one. Well, not really the first ones. There's more prototype options of these available, but this is one of the first production models, I guess you can say. I don't really like when a gun doesn't fit flush with the front of the frame or chassis here. I just don't like that empty look at the front. It's just me, guys. I'm a huge aesthetic guy, and that just kind of gets my gun OCD a little bit going there. If you look at this one here, this one is a little bit off still, so that really still kind of bothers me. And but this is the X5 slide, so this is the bigger slide compared to the normal 320s. But this here is one of my custom builds. I have a lot of upgrades, and I'll get into that in a moment. But that, I like it either to be flush or a little bit sticking out, and this kind of has a pretty cool aesthetic where that kind of angles down. This is a Harrington Arms comp. As well as the comp being longer than the actual frame itself, it does help me with the whole not having a fear of indexing my thumb at a certain point, because I always feel when the slide is a little bit more recessed into the frame where you kind of lay your thumb on, I feel like if I were to hold too far forward, say I kind of do a quick reload and I bring my thumb out here, I don't want to blow the tip of my thumb off, you know. I need the tip. I use my tip for a lot of things. The comp itself, I do like that the ports are on the top. So I did have a compensator on one of my Fluxes here, and not this one specifically. It had ports on the left and right of it, And every time I would shoot, I would feel the gas shooting out left and right into my thumb here. So it's really nice that they do have the Legion slide on this Flux Legion here, so that way the gases are all shot upwards. Now you do retain literally everything on the Legion slide, like on the AXG Legion gun there. So you get your night sights, you get your optic cut. It's exactly the same slide, guys. And speaking about the glow-in-the-dark sights, if you're looking through the Flux there, hopefully I can get a better view, you can see right through that and get a good co-witness if your optic dies and you needed to shoot still. Now let's get into some of the little details on the chassis itself. So at the front here, you get a nice 1913 pick rail. I do have flashlights. It does fit full-size flashlights like this Enforce here. You can put an X300. The X300 does stick out a little bit farther. You could put lasers on there if you needed to. It may not look like it, but there's a lot of space to add accessories on there. Moving on down to the mag holder. This isn't a grip, guys. This says right here on the actual frame itself, not a vertical for grip. This is your magazine holder, and it does hold your mags really, really well. You're not gonna have that accidentally come out. It literally has the same, whoops. It literally has the same locking mechanism as you would on a like a normal magazine on the back of your frame here. Now the way you release the magazine, like I accidentally did there, is 3 ways essentially. So you get a button here, kind of like an AR-15, your traditional AR-15 button that releases the rear magazine, right? Then you have a lever here, or a bar here, that if you push that forward, it releases the rear magazine. So it doesn't have like a traditional like handgun push button one. It's that that lever thing there. And third way to do it is push that button in halfway and it'll release the front mag. But if you pushing it in all the way, it'll release the rear mag and that front mag, so you can do a quick reload there. Extremely fast to do reloads. I have no issue reloading this Flux Legion or any of the other Fluxes. They all have that same option where you push that magazine release there all the way in and it releases both mags. When I first met the Flux guys and they showed me that, I thought that was pretty damn genius that you can push both at the same time and have them release at the same time, so you can do those quick reloads, so you're not wasting a whole lot of time there. Now moving on back, you do get the same exact controls that you would on a 320 normal handgun. Is the takedown lever right here, and you do get your slide release, ambidextrous slide release on this one here. Now with the slide release, this is where the X was updated a little bit, where you can't really release the slide. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. I'm thinking you guys already know what the Flux feature is, but if you haven't seen my video, I do have a full in-depth review of the MP17. It's probably like my 3rd video on the actual channel itself, and I go extremely into detail on all the features of this, so I'm trying to skim through all of these. And I'm hoping you guys know about it already. But if not, on the older version Fluxes, when the slide is locked to the rear, you can use the lever that you eject this brace with as a slide release as well. I think that makes for one of the fastest reloads on this little PDW. I guess you can call it a PDW. But as soon as that slide locks back, I could release the magazine, put the new magazine in, and release there. The only issue with that is if it's shouldered, right, and you were to keep it shouldered and put that new magazine in and push that release, it'll collapse that brace there. On the X, I'm guessing that's why they went away from it. It no longer has that feature where you can release that. Let me take out the mag. You just can't release it with that, which kind of sucks in my eyes. I don't know, I don't like it, just because I got used to just reloading and just taking my shoulder off and doing that number there. But I guess for the people that are new to this, it makes more sense, so don't let me ruin that for the Flux guys. So basically the only function that lever has is to eject your brace there. Now moving on, where am I? I am somewhere back here. So you get a 1913 style rail there, exactly like the older Fluxes there. You can put basically any optic you want on top of that. I've seen people put like, I don't know, they put some ridiculous stuff on here that I think the coolest thing that I've seen was a thermal on top of that. So I don't know, I gotta try different things. And you do get a QD attachment point on that side, and that is a metal insert plate there, so that way you don't have to worry about destroying that piece and having to swap it out. But if you do want to swap it out, you do have little screws there you can just swap out to something else if there is something else that's made for that. Moving on down, you do have an ambidextrous safety. This is probably the thing that I hate the most about the Flux, is that I do end up pinching the shit out of my finger, the meat of my finger here when I'm riding that gun super high. It just tends to come down and just pinch the shit out of my finger. Let me see. It just sucks, guys. That's one of the first upgrades that I ended up doing to my Flux, is to swap out or do a safety delete on that side there. And I'll show you right here. So they make a safety delete on the right side, or you can get it for the left side, and they also make an extended metal safety that's easier to not put up and down, and it's just a way better safety. This is still doable. Gosh dang it, it just pinches the crap out of my finger. You can see right there, it just wants to grab a hold of a chunk of your hand, and I just don't like it. That's just one of the things that I wish that was designed a little bit differently from the factory. It is what it is. I probably have fat hands. And lastly, moving on down, this is one of the more updated features on the X compared to the MP17, as that they made the grip a little bit more aggressive than the MP17. And I believe the magwell is a little bit more it's a little bit designed differently. I feel like the one on the X is flared out more and allows for better insertion. And on top of that, I know they did fix an issue that was on the MP17 itself, where if you were to put the magazine all the way in, I believe, or I forgot what it was. It was some sort of magazine issue that it would kind of over insert and not lock back, or something like that. But they fixed that issue with the X model compared to the MP17. And the MP17, let me see if I can do something about it. Yeah, I believe when it was empty or something, if you don't have these plates, it will over insert and kind of shove its way up there where that slide wouldn't fall forward, which I never really had an issue because I always run these 21 round magazines. Now that pretty much does it for the 320 Flux Legion here, guys. Again, I did a full in-depth review on the Flux Legion itself, or not the Flux Legion, the Flux frame itself, the chassis. Basically go down all the way down to my page and look for like the third or fourth video. I go deep into detail, and I also do a deep dive into all the upgrades here. And let me just go over the upgrades that I put on here that I think are kind of necessary. So on the this one here, this Flux, I added this here. This is a charging handle, basically. It goes into your front dovetail sight and it screws down, and it does come with a little green, I don't think it's just like a glow-in-the-dark paint that's on the front of that, but it's a front sight, so you can run a rear sight on this and co-witness with that that front sight there. But it is a metal charging handle from Tactical Development. There are also other ones made that you can take off your optic plate and put it back here where you can charge it from the back, or Tactical Development sells another one that's kind of like a shark fin that's on top of this here, and you can rack that back. And I believe that one also has a front sight on it as well, but I like this little side lever here. This ledge here, it does screw on to the little holes that are on the frame itself. So this is a little 3D printed ledge from Tactical Development as well, and that just helps with indexing my thumb if I do have a shorter slide on it. So I'll probably end up putting one on this guy here, just so that way I don't kind of overshoot that indexing point. It kind of just keeps me from putting my thumb too far forward and potentially shooting the tip off. But you can get other things for them. You can get a 1913 rail on here. I see a lot of people with 1913 rail attachments, and they kind of put a laser on this side or another different type of thumb rest on this side. I believe Tactical Development is selling some sort of shroud, metal shroud that kind of goes over this, and it gives you another option to put an optic or a laser, or gives you a lot of cool stuff on there. I'll probably try to put up a photo somewhere so you guys can see it. But as far as upgrades, guys, that's pretty much all I did. I put that charging handle on there, I put that thumb ledge, and I definitely upgraded that safety. And lastly, guys, they do give you two 30-round magazines, which I think that is extremely cool, having 30-round magazines for your Flux, or even getting these and putting them on your standard P320. You got that extendo clip, boy. But that pretty much does it for the SIG P320 Flux Legion. Do you guys think it's a cool option that a company as big as SIG saw something like this and said, hey, let's make something for the people, you know, for people that are actually looking for these? Because Flux, I love those guys to death, but unfortunately they just can't have anything in stock, or don't have anything in stock. And that's the biggest complaint that I see out of people, that Flux just never has stuff in stock. But I never really hear anybody complain about the actual product itself. So is that a good thing to always be sold out, or is that a bad thing because people just gonna give up and go with somebody else? So who knows? You tell me in the comments down below. But these SIG Flux Legion, you do have the same options to submit your whole challenge koi thingy for the Flux Legionnaire program, or whatever it's called. Also, before I check out, SIG did send this out to me for review. I should have started in the beginning of the video like I always do, but again, my head's all over the place right now, guys. SIG did send this out to me for review. I did purchase those other Flux though, from the guys at Flux. Like I said, I love those guys. They're doing great stuff. And I hope to see them continue to have success in the industry, especially when they get a contract as big as SIG here. And I hope this makes it enough where they're able to supply you guys, the consumer, with more Fluxes out there, just because I know they're always sold out, and I would like to see you guys have these in your hands as well, because they are extremely fun little guns, and they're definitely getting into the hands of some serious people out there, so look out for that. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I love you all, appreciate you all. Catch you in the next one.